Hello, here I'm going to walk you through the process of creating a multiple line graph in SPSS. I'm using the data that came with an earlier edition of your textbook study guide to go with the Factorial ANOVA chapter. We have both male and female therapists helping both male and female clients, and we're recording their number of activities of daily living after therapy. Those of you who are coming here who are not from my Psych 316 Stats Lab, I hope you still find this video of some use even without these supplementary materials. So I've already got the data file set up with both of my independent variables as nominal and both of them with their values set. This is necessary for the graph to even draw at all and for it to be properly labeled without having to manually enter all the information. I should note that this type of data set would normally not be done with a line graph. A bar graph would be more appropriate because we have discrete independent variables. However, your assignment is appropriate to a line graph, so we're going through the motions here just to show you how it's done. So the first step, we go into Graphs, Chart Builder. Now mine worked straight off. Depending on what you've done previously with your SPSS, you may get a big dialog box that says, before you use this dialog, blah, blah, blah. Click OK if that comes up. In fact, better yet, say don't show this again, and then click OK. So we're going to be creating a line graph. So down under Choose From, I've got Line, and it's a multiple line graph we want, so you can either double click this or click and drag it up into the sample area. We're going to put therapist in the x-axis here. For this particular data set, it really doesn't matter which independent variable we put where. For yours, you'll want to think about which variable it makes more sense to have as separate lines and which one it makes more sense to have as separate spots on the x-axis. We've got our therapist on the x-axis, and the client going into the set color box will be the separate lines. We want activities going into the spot that was the y-axis, and now it says count. Now because we're preparing this for APA format, it means everything needs to be in black and white. So you double click on gender of client under set color, and where it says distinguish groups by, change that over to pattern. Over here under element properties, under edit properties of, we want line 1 to display the error bars, and we want those error bars to represent one standard error of the mean. And then click apply. It's very important that you remember to click apply after each step. We also don't want there to be a footnote, which automatically got created when you set the error bar. Footnotes aren't in APA format for figures, so you select it, click the X delete button, and then also click apply. This is as far as we can go in this screen, so you hit OK. And here's the base for our graph. Doesn't look too pretty yet, so you double click on it and we'll finish the rest of the modifications. For this particular data, you can see the lines are kind of sandwiched up at the top of the graph with a whole lot of blank space down in the bottom. We're going to change that, so I'm going to single click right on the y-axis itself. If this properties dialog box wasn't already visible for you, double click on an element to get it to come up. I think a good minimum would probably be about 12. Use your judgment based on your own data set and what ends up looking good. Click apply and it applies it. The background is slightly grayed. You don't want that. So click on that, click on the fill sample box right here, and select the white area with the red dash through it. That means transparent. Transparent is better than white in my opinion. Really, it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. The second line is a pattern by default, but it's not a great pattern. It's kind of large and blocky, so in the legend it's sort of hard to tell that it even is a pattern. We can change that by clicking once on the line, and that selects both of the lines together. So you pause a second and then click again. These are all single clicks. Double clicking will do something different. Here on the Lines tab, under Style, I just select one of the smaller dashed lines and hit apply. Yeah, that looks good enough. We want to have markers on our lines, and we can do that a couple of ways. This button right here, fourth in from the right, is the Add Markers button. They come automatically selected, so you don't even need to touch anything. Just go straight over to marker and change the fill to black. Because we want them all to be black, we don't want to change anything differently depending on the series. Now it's refusing to apply this, and I've had this happen before. So all I do to fix that is I simply close the dialog box. You don't need to save anything. It will automatically update with your changes. And then double click it again to bring it up. Single click on any of the markers, which is going to be tricky to get the markers and not the error bars. There we go. Got them. They're just barely highlighted in yellow, you can see. Click on the fill, change it to black, and apply. Worked this time. These error bars are a bit big and unwieldy for this size of a graph, and also the bottom error bars for the male line are patterned the same way the line was. We don't want that. So click on any one of the error bars to select all 4 of them together. Go to the bar options tab. Here under width, just change it about 10%, I think looks good. That's much nicer. Now you can't actually see that they're even patterns anymore hardly for the males, but we'll change it anyway. Single click just on the males error bars. There we go. And under fill and border, border style, make it solid and apply. That's better. All of our axis labels should be the same font size, and we don't need this bolding to be happening. So click on the y-axis, and under the text style tab, font style, I'll change to normal, and the actual size doesn't technically matter, but I think 10 will look about good. Yeah. Single click on the axis labels themselves, change them to 10 as well, and repeat all of this with the x-axis. There we go. Now we have 2 legends here that SPSS created automatically. We don't need the bottom one at all, so click so that you see this type of a border around it. If you click in a different spot, you might get borders that look like that. That's not what you want. You want this big 8-button border. And I just hit delete on my keyboard and it goes away completely. This top legend still isn't great. I would prefer they're in the same entry. Female is solid and circle, male is dashed and square, instead of having separate entries like this. But it's about the best we can do with SPSS. I've tried making graphs in Excel and it has other issues that are equally as difficult to deal with, so I just go with this. With, again, this type of a border, you don't want any of the other smaller borders. Just click and drag to move it within the bounds of the graph itself. And that's all we need to do to turn this into a lovely APA format figure. Again, you don't need to actually save anything. You just close this editor box and it automatically updates your graph to be exactly the way you want it. You would copy and paste this into your Word document on a separate page at the end after the references with the figure number and caption underneath it. I have found a bit of a quirk with SPSS. Using the keyboard controls of Control-C to copy sometimes just doesn't work. It's best to use the mouse, right-click over it, and copy it to your clipboard. And that's it. Best of luck bending SPSS to your will and getting lovely APA format figures out of it.